Thank you for joining us today as we continue reading through the Psalms. We're in Psalm 40 today. Let's pick up in verse 1. David says there, "I waited patiently for the Lord, and he inclined to me and heard my cry. He brought me up out of the pit of destruction, out of the miry clay. He set my feet upon a rock, making my footsteps firm. He put a new song in my mouth, a song of praise to our God. Many will see and fear and will trust in the Lord. How blessed is the man who has made the Lord his trust, and has not turned to the proud, nor to those who lapse into falsehood. Many, O Lord my God, are the wonders which you have done, and your thoughts toward us. There is none to compare with you. If I would declare and speak of them, they would be too numerous to count. Sacrifice and meal offerings you have not desired. My ears you have opened. Burnt offerings and sin offering you have not required. Then I said, Behold, I come. In the scroll of the book it is written of me. I delight to do your will, O my God. Your law is within my heart. I have proclaimed glad tidings of righteousness in the great congregation. Behold, I will not restrain my lips. O Lord, you know. I have not hidden your righteousness within my heart. I have spoken of your faithfulness and your salvation. I have not concealed your loving kindness and your truth from the great congregation. You, O Lord, will not withhold your compassion from me. Your loving kindness and your truth will continually preserve me. For evils beyond number have surrounded me. My iniquities have overtaken me, so that I am not able to see. They are more numerous than the hairs of my head, and my heart has failed me. Be pleased, O Lord, to deliver me. Make haste, O Lord, to help me. Let those be ashamed and humiliated together who seek my life to destroy it. Let those be turned back in dishonor who delight in my hurt. Let those be appalled because of their shame who say to me, Aha, aha. Let all who seek you rejoice and be glad in you. Let those who love your salvation say continually, The Lord be magnified. Since I am afflicted and needy, let the Lord be mindful of me. You are my help and my deliverer. Do not delay, oh my God. Mark, what you got?
Two things. One, in many ways, this chapter is an answer to the previous chapter. The previous chapter was one of, I trust you, but I'm not sure. Help me to understand things. My hope is in you. But in this chapter, it's just one filled with such confidence. I want to focus on verses 6 through 8, where the psalmist begins by saying, In sacrifice and offering you have not delighted, but you have given me an open ear. Burnt offering and sin offering you have not required. Well, that's an interesting statement because, in fact, God had required those things. But that's not the point of the psalmist. God didn't want people, and he doesn't want people to obey him simply to obey him. And that's what David's getting at here. What God wants is people to obey him for the reason David obeyed him. In verse 8, I delight to do your will. At the end of the day, God's commands are commands that we respond to with our heart. Now, our actions flow from our heart, but it's not just our actions. God has always wanted the heart of humanity. And that's what David figured out. And that's one of the things you and I have to figure out as well today, that we obey God not because we have to, not because we're forced to, not even because we'll be punished if we don't. But we grow to the point where we obey him because we delight to obey him. Which brings up the question, why? And this psalm gives us reason after reason. God has inclined himself to us. He draws us up from the pit. He gives us a new song. He has given us an open ear. He delivers us. He's faithful. He's steadfast. He doesn't restrain his mercy from us. The more we see how wonderful God is and how much he delights in us, the more we'll obey him out of delight from our heart.
Great point. And as we think about God, kind of building off that, as we come to realize who God is, I hope our heart is like David, where he talks about in verse 16, let those who love your salvation say continually, the Lord be magnified. The more we know about God, we ought to be able to say how great he is and say it continually. I really think about the Apostle Peter's words in 1 Peter chapter 2, where he talks about we've been made a priesthood to do what? To proclaim the excellencies of him who called us out of darkness into his marvelous light. We ought to be saying that, brothers. We ought to be talking about how good God is, not in general, but he is to us and what he's done for us and shown what he's done through his son. So people will see how great and good God is. That's our thoughts today. Thank you for joining us. Hope you'll join us tomorrow as we look at Psalm 41. Hope you have a great day and see you.